What's going on, everyone? My name is Burke, bringing you the Week 6 PICA Power Rankings. I'm just going to apologize right now. Skype's kind of fucking up, and I'm getting an echo, and I have absolutely no idea how to fix it. So,
sorry.
Yep. But anyway, as always, I'm joined by my co-host Xavier.
Hello.
So, sorry about the echo. I've been messing with Skype for a little while, and I just given up because Skype doesn't like me. But anyway, definitely some pretty interesting matches this week. You know, not too many changes actually. Just we're starting to solidify our rankings as we move along because, you know, maybe a team loses, maybe a team wins, but it doesn't really change too much now.
Yeah, there aren't too many huge upsets. Things have been kind of like falling into place. There's been like some clear dominance shown, except for a few little blips on the radar. There's like, it's generally pretty solidified at this point.
Yep. I mean, there's still going to be some changing as we move along, but it's going to be a lot less massive as it was in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
But let's not waste any time. Let's move up. Let's move on to number 12. And our lists are pretty damn similar this week.
Yes.
In fact, almost completely similar.
Which is
12,
weird because we only mentioned like our list to each other once or twice before we
actually
sat down to do this.
Yeah, we literally mentioned it. We were just like, hey, here's our list, and all of a sudden we're just like, hey, our list
almost the exact same thing.
So, sorry if you like disagreements, but we don't disagree on a lot of this stuff. But anyway, number 12, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's the DRMR Shadow Absols. He's still winless. And not only winless, he got 6-0'd. It was a really disheartening match to watch, to say the least. I mean,
yeah.
He got 6-0'd. I don't know. His planning just was not good this week. He's bringing he brought almost no bulk. Like, it's just straight kind of offensive team. The only thing you consider almost halfway defensive is Xatu, and that thing's also kind of frail.
Yeah, it gets like some good supporting moves and whatnot, but it's overall just not like a good, reliable defensive mon.
Yeah, it's a magic bouncer. That's what you use it for. And his team, besides the Xatu, is not, none of it's weak to Hazard, so he doesn't really care about that. But he brings the Xatu anyway, and that's his only defense, and he has no switch-ins. Look at his team. Name his switch-in for a Mega Charizard X.
Let's see here. He's got some potential Focus Sash users. I could take one hit.
He has nothing. He didn't bring anything to deal with the Mega Charizard X, and he's got a Donphan. It's not the best, but it's something. It's very physically defensive, and it can take a hit from the Mega Charizard X. So there's, I think, things he could have brought that would have at least helped him deal with something like Mega Charizard X, so it wouldn't just kind of be the offensive threat that it is. Granted, it only got one kill. Only one kill. The Quagsire got 3 kills, which is... How's a Quagsire get 3 kills? It's not...
I mean, I have no clue how a Quagsire does that well.
But...
Especially considering it has a 4x weakness, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, it's only 1/4. And the Shadow Absols have one of the best things to get rid of it, Mega Sceptile.
Yes, and Galvantula, which will also have a Grass-type move, more than likely.
So, I think it was pretty apparent. I didn't like his planning this week. I mean, you don't plan well and get 6-0'd, no matter how bad the matchup.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
And I believe we touched on this last week, was it? Where there's difference between just getting swept by something 6-0 and having someone just spread the kills out throughout their team and 6-0 you.
Yeah, like when the Heracross swept last week, there was literally nothing you could do at that point in the match. It was late in the match. He had the Heracross. It was Choice Scarf, Outsped, everything, and it goes through. This is just, he just spread out the kills between his, and there's the Shadow Absols, just, they were switching in one thing and it died. Switching another thing, it died. And it was a very quick, really strong 6-0 in Mikey's favorite, Chelsea Shandy's. But that's pretty much all I got to say for the Shadow Absols at this point.
Okay. And my number 12, surprise, surprise, also DMR Shadow Absols. Now, not much to say, honestly. It's just like 6-0'd, still winless. Quagsire, by some miracle of science, got 3 kills. I don't know exactly how. I guess, like, I don't, like, I'm trying to think, like, how it got kills and what it killed.
Probably
Like, off the top of my head. Like, just looking at team matchup, not thinking about the actual match. But just if you look at the teams, it's just like, what did that thing do? Like, if you just look at it, it's just like, what's it gonna kill? Like, Halucha, it could probably deal with, I guess, because unaware, like, that kind of shuts it down. Scolipede, I guess, it also shuts it down. I mean, I guess, like, those bottom 3, Slurpuff, Halucha, Scolipede, were all very setup reliant.
Yeah.
Quagsire with unaware is very good against. But then if you look at the other ones, can all have, like, grass coverage. I don't really see it doing too much to a Xatu other than scalding it. Because it can't, like, toxic it or anything, stall it out. It's just, yeah, so I just don't. It's weird that that thing got 3 kills.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just, we've been saying the same thing for, like, 7 weeks or something, I don't know. It's just DMR Shadow Absols, number 12. Moving on to number 11.
I will say for the Shadow Absols, and I said this last week, next trading window they got to drop Superior. They got to pick up something else.
Oh yeah, gotta drop Superior. There's no point in bringing it when you have Mega Sceptile.
Yeah, Mega Sceptile. I think Superior is better than Mega Sceptile. But, I mean, you drop Superior, there's some stuff in OUB that you can grab. Not much, but...
It's a debatable which one's better, but I don't think there are too many good Megas left to pick up.
No, I'm not saying drop that and pick up a different Mega. He just needs to drop the Superior at this point. Keep this Mega Sceptile. It works. It can work really well. You just need to get something else. But anyway, let's move on. Number 11, I have the Manhattan Manetric still. Again, there's not too much to say about this. He's also winless. And I know he said this week he didn't have too much time to plan, and he knew he was not going to do too well, and he played the Berkhamsted Bastions, which have been doing fantastic this season so far, and it showed. He got 4-0'd, really strong. In fact, he only got 1 kill with the Mega Venusaur. I think it was...
Was it the Hoopa that died to Life Orb, or was it like Crobat Bravebird? I forget.
I think it was the Hoopa that died to Life Orb. I could be, I watched these battles a while. I could be wrong on that one. But he only got 1 kill. Mega Venusaur. Again, the Feraligatr died. Hoopa didn't die. The Feraligatr died.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, I think he killed the Alomomola with Mega Venusaur.
Wait, what would the Feraligatr go for that would kill it, though?
Possibly Aqua Jet.
Oh, yeah, Aqua Jet.
Life Orb, it doesn't take him to the... What is it?
Yeah.
It doesn't get the
Life Orb Sheer Force thing, yeah. Okay, that
Life
makes
Orb
sense.
Still takes. So, again, there's also really not too much to say about him either. I think in these next coming weeks, the teams that are just not doing well, it's hard to say stuff about it. Like, their planning, not that great. Their playing was also kind of meh. He needs to drop some... Like, I don't even know what he needs to do at this point. I think he just needs to drop something in the next pickup, the next trading window, and pick up some more offense. He needs it. I don't know what else to say. I would say the best thing I could see him dropping, maybe the Cress.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's been utilizing it that much.
I mean, there's nothing in BL to pick up, and I think that's the only BL mon that he has on his team. Yeah, so he can't really pick up much with it, so he's kind of stuck with things like Cress. I know Cress is good, I just hate Cress.
I really don't think it's good. It just kind of like sponges hits and sits there. And if
it's good at what it does. It's good at what it does. And what it does is being a fat wall that no one likes to deal with.
It's annoying.
It is very annoying. And if you're not properly prepared for it, you're not killing it.
Yeah.
But he's already got enough bulk between Mega Venusaur, Melodic, Skarmory, Sylveon. He's got plenty of bulk. It's First, Garchomp can go defensive. Kecleon can go especially defensive. We've seen Jolteon go especially defensive in the D-League. You know,
That's weird.
It was weird. Actually worked out almost. It almost worked out.
I mean, I could definitely see like an Assault Vest Jolteon working, but like full-on specially defensive.
It was full-on specially defensive with Wish. Jolteon actually has a pretty good special defense.
Yeah, it's like 90-something if I remember correctly, 95. But still, it's really odd.
It was really odd. I couldn't believe I saw that either. So, but he's got a lot of bulk and a lot of potential bulk. But the offense, again, very, very straightforward, very easy to plan for, I think. So he's going to have to do something with that, but it's going to be so hard with the limited picks. Because I think his bad picks are like OUB and BL picks, and there's like nothing to change with those.
Yeah.
So he's kind of stuck with them, unless he trades with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got.
Yep, he's also my number 11. Very similar list. But, yeah, there's not really much he can do about changing his team. It's just the way that it was drafted before he picked it up. It sucks. But, like, he lost 4-0 this week. There's not really too much good, I have to say, sadly, since, like, one of the things that only died due to Life Orb Recoil.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see why he lost. I would have definitely, just looking at team matchup, I just would have thought he lost, because Hoopa Unbound has a field day.
Yeah, he's got a slow team.
Yeah, because like it's a slow team versus Hoopa Unbound, lose. It's basically how it works.
Hoopa only got 2 kills, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it only got 2 kills, which is kind of impressive. But like, if you think about it, like, I suppose Jolteon can have Signal Beam, Garchomp outspeeds it. Mm-hmm. If you run speed investment in some things, they outspeed it. Kecleon can like sucker punch it, I guess. So I mean, it is nice to see he playing pretty well for that thing.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a huge threat otherwise. But overall, it's just he hasn't won yet, so it's like you can't put a team that high if they don't win a match. Now, to be fair, it's mostly not his fault. He didn't draft the team. It's not really his fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's like next season, if there is one, I'm sure he can draft a better team and do better overall.
Yeah.
But like this season, it's just he's struggling.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, Pat, I always say this. I want both of them to get at least one win. I hate seeing a winless team just as much as I hate seeing an undefeated team. But again, we're not going to see an undefeated team this season, so that's not a problem.
Oh yeah, no one's going undefeated here.
Nope. But I guess we can move on.
Yep.
All right, so number 10, Middle-earth Magmortars. They started out really strong in the beginning of the season, and they've kind of petered out, mostly because of the hazard thing. You know, it's very hard for them to do well when they're playing teams with a lot of access to hazards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you look at the IO Focus Energy, and they brought Fortress and Cobalion. What does Fortress can do? It can set up spikes. What can Cobalion do? Set up rocks. Fortress can also set up rocks. It can set up both.
It can even set up, like, toxic spikes.
If
you felt like it.
Can it set up toxic spikes?
I believe it can.
I don't remember. But if it can set up toxic spikes, then it can set up toxic spikes. But I think toxic spikes are the least useful against the Middle-earth Magmortar team.
Well, yeah, definitely. They have Nidoking, they got Doublade, they got Klefki, but still.
Yeah.
I'm just mentioning what Fortress can do.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I just don't remember. It's hard to remember everything. But he's playing against teams that have hazard stacking potential, and they're taking advantage of it, and it becomes very hard for him to deal with. Weavile picking up 3 kills against him, it's very hard also for his team. He also doesn't have the fastest team. You know what I mean? He's got really good potential Scarfers like Crocodile, like Nidoking, but just straight, and obviously Kieran Black is a fantastic Scarfer, but I see him having a lot of the same problems as the Detroit Pincers. They have slow teams, all right?
Yeah.
His fastest thing, he does have like Infernape, which is great, and Tornadus-Therian. That's it. Those are his 2 fastest. The next highest thing is base 100 Mega Gardevoir. Everything else is below base 100. I know how hard it is to deal with teams when you have a slow team yourself. In season 1 of the ISL, I had 2 fast things, everything else is slow shit. Becomes very hard to deal with fast teams. And he's having trouble dealing with fast teams. Iowa Focus Energy, very, very fast team. You even see what they brought this week. Talonflame, Weavile, and Latias. Weavile
even Cobalian's pretty fast.
And yeah, Cobalian's same base speed as, it's 109 base speed. 109, 108?
I think it's 108.
But he brings a very fast team, and I think Nick is getting to really know his team well and be able to use it well. And when you face a very fast team like that, the Middle Earth Magmortar's team, which relies on setup and sweeping, it becomes very hard to do that. And it's very obvious that it was a close battle. I'm not going to say he's playing poorly. I think he's playing well, but when it comes to the planning, I think he has a lot of hurdles to overcome just because of how his team is structured. It doesn't do well with faster teams, and it doesn't do well with hazard stacking teams. And that's like more than half the teams in the league have either access to really fast mons or hazard stacking mons. So I know he's got the Claydol now. He didn't even bring it this week. Claydol is not a deterrent for hazard stacking. You know what I mean? It's not going to be something people see. It's like, he's got a Claydol. How the hell am I going to hazard stack? Claydol is going to die. Claydol is not a threat. It's going to die. That's why I don't like Claydol in this league. In this, not this league, but in this kind of format. It's not a deterrent. Something like a Mega Sableye, that's a deterrent to hazard stacking because it's going to bring you back. If you have a team with like 4 or 5 hazard removal options, that's going to be a deterrent. For him, he's got one option, and it's not even a good option. So teams are just going to continue to bring hazard stacking, and it's going to be very hard for him to deal with. He like the other 2 teams below him, a lot of the problems he's facing is with team structure, and he's got to take advantage of the next trading window. Pick up something to remove hazards. Trade with another team, try to pick up something else to remove hazards. And I think once he gets that, he can start trying to repair his losing record. But it's going to be very hard for him to do so. So he's at number 10. At this point, it's very hard for him to make a comeback. It's week 6. I think he's 2 and 4.
I'm pretty sure that's what his record is.
Yeah, it's 2 and 4. It's going to be hard for him to come back from that. It's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's going to be hard. He is in a division with the Detroit Pincers. So that division, the person above him is only 1 win more. So he can come back. Like, it's not that he can't. I need to see him almost repair the team the way it is. Pick up some more stuff that can remove hazards, and he can do better because I think he's a very good battler. When he's actually playing, I think he plays well, but it's a problem in team preparation.
Yeah, it's definitely probably a problem in team preparation. And looking at his team in general, like on paper, it doesn't really seem all that bad, though.
No, it doesn't.
It looks really scary, to be honest.
He's got like Hero and Black and Mega Gardevoir, Infernape.
Yeah, those things hit so hard. They got like amazing coverage on the Infernape. Go mixed.
Nidoking too.
Yeah, Nidoking. Nidoking can tear through almost any team.
Yeah, and then there's Tornadus. It's a fast, very versatile mon.
Yeah, Tornadus is terrifying. That thing, I have so much trouble dealing with it in OU.
Everyone does.
And now you get to choose what do you want? You want superpower? You want knockoff? Do you want Hurricane? Do you want a hidden power? Do you want Heat Wave? Do you want Grass Knot? It's just so many options.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're done with yours?
Yeah, I'm done with mine.
Oh wait, well he's my number 10 as well, so we're not done talking about him yet. Now you mentioned the divisions, and so I started looking at them, and looking at it, the only way I can see him making playoffs is if he beats the Detroit. Has he battled the Detroit Pincers yet?
I do not think so. I can check real quick. He has not yet. It doesn't look like it.
Oh no! Wait a second.
Oh wait.
Yes, they
no,
have.
He did. Never mind.
Was it week 2?
I think it might have been week 2.
Yeah, it looks like it was week 2.
Week
okay.
2
Well, looking at this, he's going to have a hard time, but the only way I can see him actually winning his, like, making it to playoffs is winning his division. So you'd have to overcome the Detroit Pincers somehow, because if you look at the other division, the Ruby division in the Hoenn Conference, Berkhamsted Bastiodons, Vesquin Park Rangers, and Sequim Malamar, who I believe all have a better record than him.
Vespaquin Park Rangers. Yeah,
I,
all
I
three
believe
have
the
records.
Vesquin Park Rangers are
They're
3-3.
now 33.
Yeah, so like winning wild card is like very unlikely, but winning his division is definitely not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just generally looking at the team, like it's not a bad team, like except for like if you can ignore the hazards thing, his team looks really good.
If you could ignore the hazards thing,
Just ignore the hazards thing,
yeah,
and his team looks really good. Like
yeah, if you ignore the big flaw in his team,
like that gigantic flaw in the team. Okay.
you ignored that, his team's scary.
Yeah, but I mean, like just the offensive threats, man. They're like really terrifying.
No,
and it's
I
like
understand that, and it's hard to plan for those offensive threats, but Kieran Black, not nearly as scary when you know he has almost no way to remove hazards.
hmm And considering he was up against the Iowa Focus Energy, who has gone 4-1 before this match,
Mm-hmm.
like have been doing pretty well. Like he only got 2 out, and he wasn't doing that bad in the match.
Mm-hmm.
He was struggling a bit with the Weavile though, which I mean he has a Vaporeon which can kind of deal with it, and a Klefki, but like Klefki honestly isn't all that bulky. It can get worn down.
Yeah.
So if the Iowa Focus Energies play around that a bit, they can get around it. But overall, just the Middle Earth Magmortar, they're not winning enough for me to like want to put them higher.
Yeah.
Like they're 2-4 now, so it's just.
Yeah, I think also partly it's Nick's doing really well with his team. He's making a lot of good use of his revenge code. We'll talk about him when we get to him. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we can move on.
Yep.
So, my number 9, I have the Atlanta Braviary. They lost this week. It was a 3-0 against the Detroit Pincers. It was a good battle.
Correction, 2-0.
2-0, sorry. I'm thinking I'm looking at a different battle.
Are you?
I don't know. I thought it was a 3-0.
I mean, might have been close to a 3-0.
It might have been it. But Detroit Pincers, I think. Well, we're not talking about the Atlanta Braviary. This is the biggest thing. I just don't understand. You're playing against a team with hazard stacking potential, and you bring no defoggers. No spinners, no defoggers, none of that. So what does it do? What does the Detroit Pincers do? They set up spikes. He's no way to remove it. He's got Mew, Mega Scizor, and Togekiss. I don't think any of them had defog. Did they?
I don't believe any of them did, which is weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like this is the second week in a row he's playing against a team with good hazard stacking potential, and they're taking advantage of it. He sets up the spikes. He's just like, after I'm gonna set up the spikes, see what happens, and it works out for him because now the Mew's gonna get hit by the spikes, the Scissor's gonna get hit by the spikes, Diggersby, the Virizion. Four members of the team. Rotom Heat doesn't care about it, but it cares about the rocks. Same with Togekiss. Togekiss is weak to the rocks. All the 4 things are weak to more to the spikes. And when you have a team like that, I know he said he brought like AV Togekiss, and he should have brought the regular Togekiss. I agree.
Was the Diggersby Life Orb?
It might have been.
Because I forget. Okay, I think it was Life Orb.
Mm. So that's just the thing. I don't know why he's reluctant to bring hazard removal. I get defog. I prefer rapid spin over defog to get rid of, so you don't get rid of your own hazards.
Yeah, defog is generally worse than rapid spin, but like there are only so many good spinners that like a defogger is just more common.
Yeah, and I mean they both have their pluses and minuses, But then again, like against Detroit Pincers, you don't have to worry about like them setting up screens they need defog for. But I get that he didn't want to bring Tentacle. Detroit Princes have now Zam. They've got a Mega Ampharos. They've got a Mammoth. Yeah, it's not a team.
It's not doing much for him.
Yeah, it's not a team you want to bring Tentacle against. But he brought Mew. I think it was an offensive Mew, which I love seeing offensive Mew. I hate seeing he's got a team that can take advantage of an offensive Mew, because most teams they take Mew and they're like, oh, I'm going to use it to patch up a hole in my team, and that hole is defogging and will-o-wisping.
Basically.
I mean, rocks, will-o-wisp, defog. And it's such a waste of potential. It's such a waste of such a good mod.
Yeah, it's really good. It's sad to see it put into defensive role a lot of the time, so seeing it offensive is pretty fresh.
But he's been using it offensively, and I really like that. I really like that he's been using it offensively. It's, better than what I've seen in other leagues. But you still need a defogger. And next week, I don't know. Who does he play next week? He plays the Sequin Malamar. Maybe Defogger's not as needed for Sequin Malamar. They don't have nearly as good of hazard stacking. They've got a Dragalge with toxic spikes, but you got Tentacruel. And then they've got Rocks, which every team does. But there's no access to spikes, so that's kind of nice. So maybe that's not as needed, but definitely when I look at a team and I see, oh crap, he's got Chestnut, he's got Scolipede, he's got, I don't know, Fortress. I see the potential for spikes. I gotta deal with spikes, because for a team that's not a lot of teams are gonna have tons of flying or levitating Pokemon, and being able to just freely set up 3 layers of spikes is gonna hurt a team badly, because you're losing a quarter of your health every time you switch in.
Mm-hmm.
That's like if something's weak to rocks, constantly trying to switch it in. It doesn't work. So I think if he brought a defog Togekiss, I think he would have possibly won that match. It's very hard to tell. Oh, is someone going to win if we change some of the...
yeah, unless it's like a really late game hacks. You can't really judge whether or not one small change would make that much of a difference.
But I think he played well. It's the spikes really, really hurt him. And with no way to remove them, they were going to really, really hurt him. So, that's what I got for the Atlanta Braviary.
Yes, and they are also my number 9. I'm really surprised that he didn't bring a defogger the second he saw that Chestnut. Because, in the ISL, when I battled him, he told me, after the match how much he hated Chestnut. Because he completely ignored it in planning and, didn't have many flying-type moves. So he just couldn't handle it in our match. So, considering how much he disliked this thing, how much of a problem it was for him then, I assumed he would be very prepared for that, bring some kind of, bring, Aerial Ace Scizor, or bring, I don't know, HP Flying Verzian, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he didn't, the general purpose of this format, one thing that a lot of people generally do is, learn from experience, which it doesn't look like he did in this instance.
Well, I will say he did bring a Rotom Heat and a Togekiss. I will say
yeah, he did bring things to deal with it, but, I was just kind of making examples.
Yeah. I understand, because you don't want to... You try to minimize the number of mons that are just completely walled by a Pokemon. And he had Virizion, Scizor, and Diggersby all just walled by it.
Because, I don't remember his exact Scizor set, but, looking at the team matchup, something like Bullet Punch, Superpower, Aerial Ace, maybe Swords Dance, once the Mega Ampharos goes down, he just wins. You just set up one Swords Dance and win. But yeah, one thing I would like to stress really quickly, though, is these power rankings mean nothing. In terms of how the actual season goes, or how every team is actually doing, or anyone's chance of making playoffs, it really does mean nothing.
Yeah, it's just two guys talking about their opinions.
Yeah, it's just... It's Pokemon, so it's you know, if we say something uh, that you would perceive as offensive in a way, anyone, then sorry. If you find us being directly offensive to you, please tell us. We'll try and fix it. But if it's just upset about your placement, like just chill, okay? It's not a big deal. We're not really judging people that harshly. It's just Pokemon.
Uh-huh. Uh, if you don't even listen to these things, I don't really care. Yeah, these rankings are like the top 6 in our rankings don't determine who actually makes playoffs. If they did, well, then I'd have a lot more power in this league, and that'd be kind of funny.
It would be funny.
But I think that's all we got to say for that. And move on?
Yeah, move on.
Sure. So, number 8, I have the Vespucci Park Rangers. They did beat the Toronto Tyrantrums this week. And the Toronto Tyrantrums, this is going to be my new Calgary Flamethrowers. Toronto Tyrantrums were our number 1 team for the past few weeks. I don't know, 3 weeks. They were number 1. Or are number 1. You know, you haven't watched the full power rankings yet. Unless you skip to the end, and shame on you for that.
How dare they?
It was. I only moved them up one spot for 2 reasons. They did win, so I was going to move them up. Only 1 spot because, first, there's still a huge problem with the consistency. He's being really inconsistent battler this season, really inconsistent planner, and it shows. He's 3-3. It's still a team that we were like, you know, we think they're going to do well. May not win. They didn't win last in the NBL. We think they're going to do well at the very least, and they're playing very inconsistently. The second is, this to me was a fairly hacksy match. Did the hacks determine the outcome of the match? No. It's too early in the match to say that without hacks, the Toronto Tyrantrums would have won. You can't say that it's just, unless it's literally an end game, like you miss a focus blast.
Yeah.
That focus blast would have won you the game. You missed a focus blast and you lose. That is literally end game hacks that did determine the match. That was a 70-30. But it was still hacksy. The Hariyama froze the Ferrothorn. And that was important just because now he's fighting an uphill battle almost from the beginning. And once you're trying to fight that uphill battle right from the beginning, it's very hard. At the same time, and I'll say stuff when I get to him, Toronto Tyrantrums do have an Umbreon, so freeze, while detrimental, shouldn't have been nearly as big of a problem. Just going to throw that out there. Disagree, whatever. I'll speak more about it. But hacksy battle nonetheless, and I will say he was able to capitalize on his luck. That's something that you need to be able to do. You get lucky, you don't just like give up and say, oops, I got lucky, you capitalize on it. And he did. And he brought himself to a 2-0 victory. But I can't put him any higher unless he shows me that he's not going to just win, lose, because that's not a way to get into the playoffs. It's not the way to win the league. You know, and I can't move him higher if that's just what I'm going to be seeing week to week. If I'm going to see next week he's going to lose, then it's back and forth. It's inconsistent. Or it's consistently win-loss.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of consistency I want to see. Nor do I want to see consistent losses either. But
I mean, what if they want to lose because they like the number 12?
Well, then, you know, I can't say anything about that.
Maybe they're just genius of some sorts.
Well, the consistency is just a bad problem, and the fact that this match was hacksy, I'll never say that hacks that early in the match is going to determine the outcome. Plays are going to be different. If the freeze didn't happen, the battle was going to be different. Could the Vespucci Park Rangers still have won without the freeze? Sure. I don't know how the match would be played, but I think it might have been different because at least at that point, the Toronto Tarantrums are not basically down a mon. That freeze basically that takes that mon out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because freeze is like if you don't have a heal beller, freeze is the worst hacks you can get because it can last forever. Sleep can't, paralysis. Yeah, you could you have almost the same chance of getting paralyzed as you do of breaking out of a freeze. It's ridiculous. And you have a less chance of breaking out of a freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 20% chance each turn.
Yeah, one in 5 chance of actually not being frozen. Yeah, of actually thawing out. So it's a terrible. I hate the freeze mechanic. I think it should be changed to at least double the amount of times you get to break out of freeze because it's just that detrimental.
I mean, if he's like really, really good at the game, like if the Toronto Tantrums were just weighed the odds perfectly and put the fire-resistant berry on the Ferrothorn, he could have baited the fire-type move to unthaw him. And then he'd eat his berry while frozen somehow, and then he would live it, and he would be unfrozen.
Yeah, I doubt that. That's you don't plan to get frozen.
You don't plan for it, but
you plan for
it's
it.
just in case.
Yeah, just in case. That's fine.
Just in case that 10% chance happens.
But that's the thing. You don't plan. I always, when I drafted my team last season, I drafted a team to make sure that in case I have any statuses on my side, I can get rid of them. Statuses are the easiest hacks to get rid of. At the same time, they can be also some of the most detrimental.
Yeah, they're definitely, it can be pretty annoying and really screw you up sometimes.
Yeah, because you can't always bring in your heal beller to get rid of the status. Especially not on a Hariyama, because Umbreon would die to a close combat. No question asked. That thing was Guts Toxic Orb, that thing's dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why I only moved them up, and I know I rambled on a lot about hacks. It happens. I still think both teams played very well. It was a great match. I enjoyed watching it. But that's all I got to say for the Vespiquen Park Rangers.
Yeah. I also have the Vespiquen Park Rangers number 8. Aside from the hacks, it was a pretty good battle.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really odd that the Toronto Tantrums would bring Umbreon, such a passive wall, against a team like the Vespiquen Park Rangers, who has a lot of setup. But I'll talk about that later. Okay, I just find it odd that Staraptor gets so many kills, considering the things it killed is just weird. Like Hippowdon, Electros, Mega Aerodactyl, all things that I would consider have the advantage over Staraptor, all died to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, it's really weird, especially like in a format like this. Like, in normal play, it's odd to see a Staraptor beat a Mega Aerodactyl or a Hippowdon or Electros. But in this format, when you're actually like prepared for things, like I guess it can make sense. Like, he can. I forget exactly what set was it. I assume it was a choice banded Staraptor.
Yeah, I think it killed the Electros through U-turn, and then it killed the Mega Aerodactyl with a crit close combat.
Yeah, so really hacksy match.
Yeah,
which is a little sad, but overall, I think the Vespiquen Park Rangers did really well. For people thinking like, oh, that guy was number 1. Why aren't you moving this guy up to like number 0 or something, like way beyond 1 or something like that. The only other he's 3-3 right now, which is it's not a bad record, but it's also not a great record. And if you look at the other 2 teams, it's the 2 teams we have in the 12th and 11th spot, which isn't saying too much, but obviously it's just there's not that huge of a difference. You know what I mean. But overall, it's just Vespiquen Park Rangers, impressive win. Overall, not an impressive record. They can definitely still move up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at here. Let me go look at the divisions real quick. Give input on how playoffs are probably going to turn out. They are in a tough division.
Yeah, I mean,
the chances of them making playoffs, like they're going to have to do really good.
Yeah, I mean, the Sequim Malamar and the Birkenstead Bastions are in that division too, and they've been doing good.
Yeah, they've been doing really good. So beating out the Sequim Malamar at this point, like it's definitely a reasonable goal, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy by any means.
Yeah.
And you never know if the Middle-earth Magmortars are going to be making a comeback. They're only one win behind. If they hypothetically were to beat the Vesquin Park Rangers when they play, they could pull it back and slingshot themselves into the wild card position, maybe. Or at least, mess up the Vesquin Park Rangers. But overall, I think they should stay at number 8.
Yeah. Not really any reason to move them any higher.
Yeah, even though they beat a number 1 team, it was a bit of a haxy match, and it's just like beating the number 1 team. He still lost to teams that we had throughout different areas of the power rankings. So, it doesn't really mean as much sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, the number 1 team can lose. I mean,
yeah, they can definitely lose. I believe this is the second time.
Yeah, so it's not like they already lost once. It's like they lose again, But we'll talk about them when we get to them. But anyway, moving on to number 7. I have the Detroit Pincers. They won against the Atlanta Braviary. I did not move them this week, mostly because I'm having the same problems with him as the Vesquin Park Rangers. Consistency is now a problem. He was doing really well in the beginning, and then lost almost 3 weeks in a row. I don't know how well he's going to do. He's starting to patch up his team. He did those trades 2 weeks ago. They seem to have worked out well for him, but he's still only 3-3, I think. Detroit Pincers still only 3-3. They're in a division, we talked about. It's basically between him and the Middle-earth Magmortars in that division, and I think he can win out against the Middle-earth Magmortars. I'm not moving him into the top 6 because of that. I know we say that the top 6 are who we think are going to make playoffs. It's also who we think are the biggest threats in the league, and at this point, because of the consistency problem, I don't see him as the biggest threat in the league. His team is slow. People have taken advantage of that. But this week, I think he played well. The Alakazam coming in clutch, 3 kills. Mega Ampharos, you gotta kill. I don't really like Mega Ampharos in this kind of format, but it can work. I don't have any big problems with it. What we said last week with the DMR Shadow Absol, setting up spikes and toxic spikes and stealth rocks on a team with 5 potential hazard removals, and then it accidentally working for him because the other team didn't bring actually any hazard removal. I think he looked at that and then said, well, if he's not going to bring any hazard removal potential, I can set up spikes. And he did. So he set up spikes on a team with lots of hazard removal potential, which would seem odd on paper to do. Why would you do that? But because the Atlanta Braviary have not been they've been bringing their defoggers, but they haven't been bringing them as defoggers. He felt he was free enough to set up the spikes, and it worked for him. That was a very good call on his part, and it happened to work out. I still think he's gonna still have problems. Still gonna have problems. Consistency is always a problem I see for the bottom. For number 9, 8, and 7, and now for number 6 when we get to it, consistency. It's not there. Some weeks they play really well, and then some weeks they play really poorly. And this week he played really well. Past few weeks he's been playing really poorly. If that keeps up, he might win the division, but when he actually gets to the playoffs, I don't see him being a big contender to actually win, because is he going to plan well and play well, or is he just going to kind of flounder like he has in the past weeks?
Yeah, his consistency has definitely been a bit hard to really... he won the first 2 weeks, and he was looking really good, but then he lost 3 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. And now he's picking up another win this week. So it's just pretty odd.
Yeah, well, that's all I got for the Detroit Pincers.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, they're also my number 7, so we're not done talking about them quite yet. Very different lists here, as you guys can tell.
Yeah, we just disagree on everything.
Yeah, I mean, we can never come to consensus. But I like how how the hazard stacking worked out for him. Like he probably did look at it and say what you said. That makes a lot of sense. But the chestnut, like it can have spikes, it can set up spikes, but it's not the only thing chestnut does. It's a physical wall. It's not like the scolipede situation where that's basically all it does. It's just like a byproduct of the chestnut and what it does. So like he can at least like force a defog, force something in, force them to waste a turn getting rid of them. But it's the chestnut can do more than just that. So like I feel like his thought process was more so if I can get up spikes, that's great. If I can't, then it's just not too big of a deal. But in the event he did get spikes, which he did, he can definitely break through the Atlanta Braviaries team very well. Which, as you can tell, Alakazam managed to pick up 3 kills. I think it was a Life Orb set, wasn't it?
The Alakazam, I think it was a Life Orb set.
Yeah, I think
No, it was a Calm Mind set.
It was what?
Calm Mind.
Calm. Oh, it was Calm. Yeah, Calm Mind. Oh, that's really good, honestly. But it's hard to remember everything. By the way, I forget a lot of stuff. But just the way he played that, like I definitely think that was really good, and I think just the way team matchup ended up turned out pretty good in his favor, which is good for him. Good planning. He had some nice wall breakers to put some offensive pressure on the Atlanta Braviary. And overall, I just think Troy Pincers like they've been doing good. They did good now. They did good week 1 and 2. I need them to keep doing that so that I can keep them higher. But if they don't do that, they're going to go lower.
Yeah.
Now, I want them to stay higher, but then again,
that's pretty much whatever they do.
I just wish I could just like make some ties and just tie everyone for number 1.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
No, you can't. We need a list of 1 through 12. You're just gonna have to deal with it.
I find that.
No, I agree with the chestnut. Like I know it's not the only thing it can do is set up spikes, but that's what I saw its main focus this week.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of its main focus sometimes is the setting up spikes, but
I love chestnut. I've used it in UU. I think it's a fantastic mon, and in this format, it also works extremely well. But,
yeah, it works really good. Even with the 4 times flying weakness, it's like flying is such an awkward offensive typing.
It's a good offensive typing, but not every team has it.
Like the thing about flying is like, what runs a flying type move that's not a flying type?
None really.
Yeah, nothing. So it's
Aerial
like
Ace. Aerial Ace on a bunch of Pokemon.
Yeah, a bunch of Pokemon get Aerial Ace, but like, it's just someone has to go out of their way to be like, I'm going to put Aerial Ace on something, and even then, Chestnut can take at least 1.
Yeah, but in this format, if you have things that learn Aerial Ace and you know you're going up against a Chestnut, you might slap Aerial Ace on 1 or 2 of your mons.
Mm-hmm. But it's just flying is just usually an awkward offensive typing, so having that be its 4 times weakness really doesn't hurt it too much.
I will say in this match, it was close. Right at the end, though, the Diggersby actually didn't have quick attack, which might have won the game because then the Alakazam could sweep up at the end.
Oh yeah, Alakazam is not taking that.
No, but he didn't have quick attack, so he got swept by an Alakazam right at the end. And Calm Mind Alakazam, you don't really see that often. Calm Mind Mega Alakazam, I've used, not Calm Mind Rega Alakazam, but it works very well. It's if you can set up that Calm Mind, that's just dangerous. It's scary. It's so scary.
Really scary.
Alakazam is just one of those things that it's so frail, but if it's that glass cannon.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's going to hit hard.
It's definitely an underrated mon in this format, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on?
Yep, moving on.
All right, so number 6, I have the Washington Red Shells. I was unsure about where to place them. I didn't know if I wanted to actually place them at 6 or 7. I placed them at 6 because I said it I said for number 6 I would say it's 2. Consistency. He's starting to lose it. He was doing well and now it's shaky again. Yeah. So he's 3-3. Like past 3 teams as well. They're all 3-3. But he lost against the Sequim Malamar, which Sequim Malamar, very good team, not knocking the Sequim Malamar at all. But I don't know. I didn't see as good a planning this week as he normally does. The Thunder's Therian working out from over the Greninja, I don't know how well it's working out for him. He's bringing it at the very least. He wasn't bringing Greninja.
Yeah, that was definitely something I'm a little shaky on. I mean, it did kind of good this week, I suppose.
Yeah, it got it got the most kills on his team.
Yeah.
And it was a very close match. I will not say it wasn't a close match. But once the Gliscor went down, what's going to take a Flare Blitz from the Darmanitan? Pretty much nothing. Yeah, his team, he had almost nothing for the Darmanitan. And Starmie, not great for it. Darmanitan does get U-turns, so Starmie switches and takes a U-turn, and it's taking a lot of damage. He had a very hard time playing around the Darmanitan, and at the end, Darmanitan just swept up. It's just cleans up. And Darmanitan is one of those things that we look at and we say, is it really going to be that good in this format? Because what does it do?
Yeah, it just looks like this weird, awkwardly, like, what was the term? Awkwardly proportional body parts. It's tiny legs, big arms. It just looks like this weird monkey thing, but then it just like flings itself with its arms or something and just tackles and just rolls through teams.
But yeah, like what does it do? It flare blitzes. That's its job. That's its only job. Yeah, okay, maybe it goes for a U-turn, but it flare blitz. You scarf it, you band it, you go for flare blitz, and you see what happens. You think, that's not too hard to prepare for. It has base 145 attack. What's taking a stab base 145 attack? Flare blitz. Not much.
And that sheer force boost.
And sheer force boost. So it's like not base 120 power. It's base. Let's see if I can do math. I can't really. It's like base 150 power. Flare blitz, and then you add stab onto it. Oh, nothing's taken that well.
Yeah, it's not an easy hit to take. It's like it's like the Victini V-Create, except different.
Except a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more powerful, just because it's.
I mean, it's lower base power, but higher attack stat.
Yeah, we'd have to calculate, but But he doesn't really have much for it. You need to see Blissey's not taking it. Gliscor's not. Gliscor, even though it could probably take one Flare Blitz and then kill with it Earthquake, because Darmanitan has piss poor defenses. But I just see he was having a lot of trouble dealing with a whole bunch of things on his team. The Gligar was proven to be a problem. The Jirachi was proven to be a problem, and Darmanitan was a problem. Like, those were just like, he didn't have really solid ways to deal with them. He didn't bring any, Thunder Syrian might have had HP Ice. Nidoqueen probably had Ice Beam for the Gligar. But, the Sequid Malamar I thought had appropriate walls for the red shells. Gligar takes hits from the Victini very well. It actually tanks V-Creates pretty well because of its, its really high defense plus Eviolate just tanks it. Rainy is Rotom Wash. He's dealt with the red shell's threats, but I don't think the red shells nearly. They didn't have, I think, the right walls for the team. So.
Yeah, they didn't really have what they needed.
That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're in my number 6 as well. Lists polar opposites of each other right now, but just the consistency with the playing and the I've seen their team building. Like it looks so good. Mm-hmm. Like it looks well thought out. It looks thorough. But I feel like his record isn't. It's not what you'd think when you see his team builders. When I see his team builders.
Yeah.
It's just like he's got these weird EV spreads. He's got these, kind of weird sets. Like not anything like super crazy, but he clearly thought things through.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just his win-loss ratio. It's not what I'd expect from what I've seen.
Yeah, he seems to be, and I don't mean any offense to him, he seems to be a much better planner than he is player.
Yeah.
The problem comes when he's a good player. Like don't get. I think he's a very good battler, but he's got it down pat when I think it comes to planning, or good enough. But then when it comes to actually using it in battle, I think he's a little bit shaky.
Yeah, I think that's definitely his issue. And if he can improve upon that, I definitely see him being a huge threat.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly struggled with the Darmanitan, but to be fair, I don't really think there's much on his team that can handle Darmanitan.
Yeah,
And I don't think there's many things in general that really can handle Darmanitan.
Not much.
Yeah, that thing is definitely proven to be a huge threat. Victini got a kill. Very excited about that.
It did die, though.
Hey, it didn't happen. But anyway, Rotom Wash, not a wall to Victini, trust me. Choice Banded V Create, over 50%.
Well,
not a wall.
I don't remember if it was choice banded.
I'm just saying it's not like a...
No, it's not a great. Trust
in
me,
general counter.
I know it's not a great counter, but it can force a switch out of Victini.
You can force a switch, definitely. But it's just... Things just didn't seem to be turning out well in the Washington Redshell's favor. They did lose to the Squim Malamar, which have proved... Well, not Squim. Squim Malamar. Who have definitely been proving to be a massive threat in the league. Definitely more so than we thought at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's still just... They've got a pretty... I'm pretty sure it's 50-50 win ratio, right? 3-3?
Mm-hmm. They're 3-3 right
yeah,
now.
Okay, 3-3. But, I don't know, I just want to see some more wins come out of them. I left them at 6. I really want to be able to move them back in the upper regions, like, further.
Yeah.
But if he loses again next week, he's probably going to be out of the top 6.
Yeah, if he loses next week, it's going to be very, very hard for him. And I don't think he's going to lose. He's playing the DMR Shadow Absols. So...
But to be fair...
If he does lose, then...
To be fair, in the MBL, he had like a... What was it, like a 5-6 or something record?
Yeah.
In the regular season, and then 1 playoffs, so you never know.
Yeah. We'll see how... again, it's hard to tell mid-season who's actually going to win.
Yeah.
Just our opinions. I'm generally wrong a lot of times.
Basically.
It just happens.
You can trust me, though. I'm always right about everything and anything.
Yeah. Shut up.
O.J. Simpson was innocent.
But yeah, I want to see him continue to do well. But I'd say that for every team. And I really like his team, so that's the thing. I also really like his team. I have a newfound love of Thunderous Therian. I think it's much better than Thunderous Incarnate, because that thing is stupid, because I can't get it to work. But I can get Thunderous Therian to work for me. But anyway.
I mean...
I'm just incompetent with it.
We're using those words a bit hastily there, Burke. I would say you're almost sufficient.
Almost sufficient. I think I figured out how to almost use it in the playoffs.
I mean, that's never too late. Except for when you're too late.
Except it was a little bit too late. Alright, but moving on. Number 5, I have the Chelsea Shandies. That was a blowout this week. 6-0. I don't really know what to say. I only moved him up 1 spot, not because he won, but because the Washington Red Shells lost. And the reason I'm not moving him up for beating the DMR Shadow Absols, the DMR Shadow Absols are number 12.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a battle I expected him to win. And granted, he won it big. 6-0 is nothing, if you're playing against a team that's not doing as well, and you beat them 1-0, that kind of says a little bit about how well you're playing. But if you just beat them 6-0 outright, he's just kind of blowing through teams right now. And that's great. I love his draft. I love his team. And seeing him, this is the second 6-0 we got in a row. Right? Last week he got a 6-0 against the Millith Mortars. This week he got a 6-0 against the DMR Shadow Absols. He's the only one with 6-0s. There's not really too much more to say about that. I think, I'm not moving up now, just because he did win against number 12. So I'm not moving him up. Well, I moved him up, but, I'm not like, he won, I gotta move him up. But if he keeps playing like this, I see him definitely moving up. He's proving himself to be a huge threat in the league. he's the only one. Like he's only home with 6 O's, and 3 of his kills were from one of his walls. One kill was from the Manabuzz, which is another wall. I mean, he's granted. I don't think DMR Absol's planned that well or played well, but that's no knock on the Chelsea Shandy. They're doing really well.
Yeah, they really could not have done better.
They literally could not have done better.
It's got the highest score possible, so like, can't really say much negative about them.
Yeah, all I can say is if they keep this up, they are moving up.
Yeah.
So,
And they're at my number 5 as well.
Yeah.
Now, I believe I told him last week in the power rankings that he should keep doing what he did. He listened to me clearly.
And he kept doing what he did.
Which is good. See, I remember I told him, that thing he did with the 6-0, he should keep doing that.
Do it again.
If he can keep doing that, that's good. If he stops doing that, then, it's potentially bad if he loses. If that happens to him, that's bad. But he needs to keep doing that. I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to do that. But yeah, overall it's just like good planning, good playing, can't knock him at all, like 6-0. I don't know what you want me to say about him. It's just he did good, played good, planned good, all that.
Do it again.
Do it again. Next week, the week after that.
Just keep going.
Just keep doing it, win playoffs, there you go. That's good. So only 6-0s.
Yeah.
But just can't say anything bad about him. It's just 6-0. I mean, I don't know what, do you want me to say he shouldn't have taken any damage? He should have first turn forced a switch, set up, and swept? Not even sent out any of his other 5 mons?
I mean, I'm just going to say, to be honest, if he did that with the Mega Charizard, I think he could have done it right from the get-go.
You know what? Looking at the team matchup, he actually probably could have.
Yeah, I'm just saying, right from the get-go. He had nothing for the Mega Charizard X on his team. You set up to +1, you force the switch out, and then you just kill everything inside.
Yeah, unless the DMR Shadow Absols had, some random red card Slurpuff.
Or they could have had Focus Sash Scolipede with Earthquake.
Oh, there you go. But even that probably would have killed.
I don't know. But anyway, I think we should just move on. There's not really much to say at this point.
Yeah, just, you did good.
Yeah. So, number 4, Sequin Malamars. There's not really much to say about them either. They're playing really well.
Basically.
They're planning. Great. Darmanitan sweep. Can't say anything bad about that. Never really seen a Darmanitan sweep in this league. Now I have. He planned really well for all the threats. He has a Gligar, physically defensive Gligar for the Victini. Does wonders. He's got Porygon 2 to soak up any hits from the Nidoqueen, the Thundurus, Therian, the Starmie. Rotom Wash helps kind of balance out that core. It deals with some other things. It can take a hit from the Victini, force a switch. And then there's Darmanitan. And it just... I don't know what to say. It's a Darmanitan. It's a Darmanitan. It killed things. It killed a lot of things. Got 4 kills. I'm really happy about that. I like Darmanitan. I think it's a great mon. And it just did things. And, I don't know what to say.
Every time we talk about Darmanitan, I forget which week this was, but when the Squim Malamar reversing the Berkhamsted Bastiodons, Darmanitan also put in quite a bit of work, I remember correctly. But I'll never get over the set that the Berkhamsted Bastiodons had. Skuntank with the Aftermath and Rocky Helmet.
Yeah.
Just to suicide into the Darmanitan.
That's such a great set.
That set's, I don't know why that set is just so hilarious to me.
It's just because you can just see a Skuntank going in, taking a Flare Blitz from
full. And then it just dies.
From full, it dies. Darmanitan takes a shit ton of recoil, and then dies to the Aftermath plus Rock Helmet. I can see it happening. It's a hilarious set, and if it works, that's even funnier.
Yeah, I just remember that set every single time we talk about Darmanitan. It's just the funniest set I think I've seen all season so far, and I just love that. But yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just had to mention that.
I mean, I don't really have much more to say. I'm just kind of rambling on about Darmanitan at this point.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, It's easy to ramble on about Darmanitan. Darmanitan does things.
Yeah, it did.
See them eyebrows? Made of fire.
Alright, but that's all I got for Squim Malamar. I keep doing this well, and he's number 4. That's a great spot to be. I think he's a really huge contender for the playoffs, and he's a huge threat this league. He was number 12 in the post-draft power rankings. Number 12. He's number 4 now. He's doing very well, and I want to see him continue to do well.
Yeah. My number 4 is also Squim Malamar. And just not really too much to add on. It's just they've been doing really good. They made huge comeback. They were number 12. They missed the draft. Had to pick from the scraps and got Conkeldurr and Darmanitan from the scraps by some miracle.
It's not really scraps.
Yeah, Conkeldurr is something people would normally draft. And he's just like, I'll take that, I guess. Didn't even have to compete for it.
Seems tight.
It's just they've been very consistent. I believe they're 4-2, and one of those losses, I've mentioned it. I've mentioned that way too many times. I was did a hacks, but I'm just trying to make the Squim Malamar, just gassing them up, telling them how good they are.
Set them up for a big fall.
Hey, I mean, you never know. Anything could happen. But yeah, Darmanitan, really good. Rotom Wash did something. Jirachi did something. Porygon 2 is annoying. Gligar is annoying. He did good.
They all did something, but Darmanitan did the most of the something.
Yeah, they all did something, but Darmanitan just did 4 times that.
Yep. It did 4 times the somethings. So.
Exactly.
We're not even making sense at this point. These top teams, there's really not much to say. They're just playing really well. And
it's mainly the teams in the middle-ish area that I have the most to say about.
Yeah, same with me. But, I mean, that's all for the Sequim. I say Sequim too. Squim Malamar, we can move on to number 3.
Can you just get rid of the S? So not the S, the E.
I can't.
They just need to delete that so I can pronounce it right.
Whatever. Alright, next is the number 3, Isle Focus Energy. They haven't moved. They beat the Middle Earth Magmortars, who we had at number 10 for a while now. There's not really too much I can say about this battle. He set up the hazards like he should have. He saw no Claydol, set up hazards. Brought a hazard stacker, set the Claydol, set up the spikes, no Claydol. Done. In the beginning, the Middle Earth Magmortars were playing well. He killed the Talonflame off real quick. Talonflame comes in, hits the Nidoking with a Brave Bird, doesn't die, and then Nidoking just Thunder Punches it to death. Talonflame didn't actually do much. Granted, it did take down Nidoking to a very low amount of health. That thing is a definite threat, so Suicide Talonflame, I'm fine with that. I don't like Talonflame. Seeing it die made me happy. But Weavile just put in a ton of work. It's such an offensive threat to the Middle Earth Magmortars team, who has a slow team. You look at the Weavile, it's a Doublade hard, it's a Nidoking hard, it's a Mega Gardevoir hard, it's a Crocodile hard. It doesn't do too much to the Klefki, and it doesn't do too much to Vaporeon, but it has knockoff, which nothing really wants to switch into. Not even Mega Gardevoir. Mega Gardevoir has terrible defenses.
Yeah, like base 65 or something like that.
So, Weavile, great choice for this battle. It's a great revenge killer, and it's just a great offensive threat in general, and against a team that's slow and with a lot of dark and ice weaknesses. Well, it's going to do well. So, I think his team planning was better than last week. Because, again, like I said last week, I know he was number 3 last week, and I said, I don't think he really should have won that battle. I think I don't think Nick won the battle. I think Parahax lost that battle.
Yeah.
He threw it away, not the other way around. This one, he just won. I really don't have many complaints again about his battling and planning this week. He brought the right things. Granted, for a team in the top 6, he has the least, I don't want to say decisive, but the least strong wins. You look at like the Chelsea Shandies, they're getting 6-0s. The Squim Malamars, they were getting pretty strong wins when they were winning. 3-0s and generally. But he generally just gets like 2-0s, which, it's not bad. I'd rather see a team make sure they win the battle rather than try to play for differential.
Yeah, consistent 2 or 1 or 3-0s are probably better than every other week getting a 6-0 and losing.
Yeah, and he's 5-1. He's one of the most consistent in this league. He's only lost 1 battle. It's not too much to say about that besides keep playing well, keep planning well, and he's going to stay at least at number 3. Possibly.
Yep. I moved him up 2 spots to number 3. I mean, he's 5-1. So, I mean, if I had him at number 12 or something, that'd just be ridiculous. But overall, he had a good team this week. Weavile just kind of, I wouldn't say runs through the team, but he doesn't have a very direct, instant way to deal with it. Except for, like, maybe Klefki, but what's Klefki really going to do?
You can D-wave it.
It's going to thunder wave it, which will cripple it, but it's not going to get rid of it. And then, just overall, his team, like, he brought a good team. I feel like he's been bringing kind of a similar team week to week. Yeah. Which, I mean, is kind of a minor complaint, because, you're winning. It doesn't matter if your team's always exactly the same sets, as long as you keep winning. But overall, just doing good. Keep doing good. Same thing I said for Chelsea Shandies. Just keep winning, and that'll be good.
Yeah, as long as they're wins, they don't have to. As long as they're wins and not like the win from last week, where it was like, yeah, you probably should have lost that one. As long as they're just decisive 2-0s, I can't move them down for that. Maybe it's not as showy as like the Chelsea Shandies getting a 6-0, but it's a win nonetheless.
Yep, a nice modest 2-0.
Yep. So moving on.
Yep, moving on, I guess.
We disagree finally.
Oh my god.
Wow. I had the Toronto Tyrantrons at number 2. This was a hard decision to make, whether I keep them at number 1 or put them down to number 2. I put them down to number 2 because they did lose. It's so hard to tell between these two teams because they're both doing extremely well. They're both playing very well, and I did move them down even though it was a Haxie battle. Maybe he should have won that. Maybe he didn't. It's always going to be hard to tell. And I'll never say that you lose a battle due to early game hacks. Not unless Ice Punch literally froze all 6 of his mons.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and this is what I was going to talk about before, he's got an Umbreon. Alright? Statuses are the easiest hacks to get rid of. Alright? Slap a heal bell onto that Umbreon. Alright, I know you said, like, why did he bring Umbreon? You look at the Park Rangers team, it's very offensive. Umbreon's very passive. But Umbreon gets foul play against a very offensive team. That just... Mega Aerodactyl sets up 1 Hone Clause on an Umbreon. Umbreon goes for foul play, that Mega Aerodactyl's dead. So, it can work against setup. So I'm fine with the Umbreon. But you gotta... I know you shouldn't specifically plan them on just for hacks, but with a team that has something like Amoonguss, it has Manaphy and Scald Burns are a thing because they seem to be 100%. The Vesperloom Park Rangers have ways to get... The Vesperloom Park Rangers... Oh boy. There we go. The Vesperloom Park Rangers have ways to spread... hacks, and they have ways to spread statuses around. Bring a Heal Beller, because that'll really help you deal with things like the Amoonguss, or run... he could run was it safety goggles, but not really useful. You do have a Ferrothorn, so that's an easy switch into an Amoonguss. But when you have the possibility of getting burned with Manaphy or put to sleep with Amoonguss, you gotta bring Heal Beller. And he did have Umbreon. I don't know if it had Heal Bell, but I feel like he could have avoided the freeze absolutely crippling him if he was able to bring in the Umbreon. I know it wasn't very easy because of that Hariyama, which was such a threat. Hariyama just is such a... For an NU Mon, it is such a great fighting Mon. It's so good.
It really is.
So... And it didn't even get any kills this week, which is a crazy thing. It put on such offensive pressure and didn't get any kills. How's that possible? I don't know. But... I recommend this for Alti. Bring one of your Heal Bellers. Slap Heal Bell on something when you know that statuses can be a thing. Things that have Thunder Wave, things that have Scald, which every team has something with Scald. You don't plan for the freeze, but you have a Heal Beller just in case something happens like that. That's the easiest one to prepare for. And I'm not just speaking out the ass here. I have this almost not the exact thing, but something very similar happened to me. I was playing against the Atlanta Braviary in the ISL, and he went for an Ice Beam with his Suicune on my specially defensive Scrafty. It got frozen. Granted, I panicked, and this is why I commentate on these things and I don't actually battle, because I'm much better at just judging people. If I just got... I had a Heal Bell on my Vaporeon. I made sure I knew statuses can be a thing, and I made sure to have the Heal Bell. Granted, I didn't go for it, but that's just me being stupid. But, nonetheless, that's my little rant on... I think it was either a little bit of a lack of repairing or bad playing in not actually using the Heal Bell to get his Ferrothorn back, instead just sacking it off. Granted, I get playing on tilt, I get the Ferrothorn freezing, that's a big wall for you. It's frozen now, what the hell do I do with it?
Yeah, playing on tilt is definitely a problem sometimes, and it can sometimes be a very difficult thing to overcome.
Yeah, but I still am at number 2 because I think the Toronto Tarantrums are just going to bounce back from this. I don't think this is going to be make or break for them. I think they've been playing very well, and I don't see why this week is going to stop them from playing well in the future. So I keep them at number 2. If they win again, they might move back up to number 1. They might not. They play the Detroit Pincers this week. It's going to be a very good battle. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that one's definitely going to be an interesting one to watch. But as we said, first disagreement, and I got the Berkhamsted Bastiodons at number 2. They've definitely been doing very well. Just because I have them like one slot lower, it's still number 2. It's like we both think they're very good teams, and just a slight difference in opinion. But the Berkhamsted Bastiodons doing exactly what they needed to do this week. They brought their good wall breakers in Feraligatr, Hoop Unbound, Crobat can wall break to an extent. Almamola kind of like he's fighting fire with fire. Annoying bulk versus annoying bulk. And Heliolisk, to an extent, can be a wall breaker. But he just did what he needed to do to win. Sure, it was against a team that we don't have in a very high slot, but still it was a 4-0 win. Clearly a strong victory. Mm-hmm. And he's been playing very consistently, winning week to week, which is very nice. It's why he's been staying in pretty high areas most of this time. Mm-hmm. And overall, it's just like literally no reason to move him down whatsoever. He's just been doing really good. Other than the fact that he has Burke in his team name, just no complaints.
Wow, I see how it is.
I mean, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about anything I say. Like, I didn't say anything. Don't worry about it.
Okay, you didn't say anything?
It never happened.
All right. Well, I got...
Don't hurt me.
Well, I have the Berkhamsted Sebastians at number 1. The reason I have them at number 1 over number 2 is basically the Toronto Tarantrums lost.
Yeah.
The Berkhamsted Bastions are now just in a better position than the Toronto Tyrantrums. They are actually statistically they're number one in the league. You know, they've got the best stats, highest wins and differential, not by much, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing the best so far, and it wasn't a win against a team that we look at these are a big threat. Plus, he has a team that actually destroys teams like that. You know, he's got a team that just absolutely craps on slow teams. And so when he's playing a slow team and he brings his Hoopa and he brings his Feraligatr and he brings his, he brings Crobat and Zap, he brings all these offensive threats. There's no way it's like, I feel like this, like, he'd really, really have to fuck up to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, it's just team matchup heavily in his favor, clearly, because Hoop Unbound just deals with things like Thunderbolt for Skarmory, Gunk Shot, Sylveon. It's just, it just handles his team so well.
So, no complaints about him this week. I didn't know if I wanted to keep him at number 2 or put him at number 1. I just felt, since the Toronto Tyrantrums did lose, it wasn't as much of him moving up as the Toronto Tyrantrums moving down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Yep, my number 1, Toronto Tyrantrums. Not a huge separating factor between these two teams, other than you say it's because they lost. I personally still believe that I still kind of hold the Tyrantrums just a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And because I feel like this week it was a bit of hacks in the match, yes. But I feel like they've been playing and planning very consistently. And the Berkhamsted Bastiodons, I still feel like their team is a bit awkward. Which, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a minor little... What would you call it?
Qualm?
Yeah, sure. But overall, I just think the Toronto Tantrums, I hold them a little bit higher. I think that this week really isn't going to hurt them much.
Yeah.
And the Vespiquen Park Rangers aren't necessarily a bad team, even though we've had them relatively low. They were originally our number 1 for a little while. But just regardless of the record thing, I still think the Toronto Tantrums are a little bit better.
I will say this. I think it was week 4. Berkhamsted Bastions did actually beat the Toronto Tyrantrums, so...
Yes, but that was, to be fair, that was a very, very close match.
That was very good. Oh, I'm not saying they're that much better. I'm saying they did win. Very close battle.
Yeah, because I don't feel like you can say someone's better than someone just by one battle.
I know.
I feel like you'd have to go to some kind of
have to do
10 match thing to decide, and whoever gets the most wins.
Yeah, anyone can win one. Anyone can win one battle, but
yeah, honestly, I think anyone can beat anyone. I could definitely see the DMR Shadow Absols beating anyone in the top 6. Just the odds might be not quite in their favor.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but anyone can beat anyone. But as far as consistency is concerned, I think I don't have to worry about the Berkhamsted Bastiodons, the Toronto Tyrantrums, the Iowa Focus Energy, the Suquin Malamar. And it looks like I don't have to really worry about the Chelsea Shandies anymore.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting to get the hang of things, because their consistency problem wasn't really it was kind of just at the beginning.
Yeah, I think they were getting used to their team, and it looks like they've hit their stride.
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope that carries into future weeks. But I don't really consistency less of a problem for them, so I'm more comfortable with putting them at the top.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing very well. But that is going to wrap up the Week 6 power rankings for PICA. A little bit long, I know. I can't help it. We talk a lot. But anyway, if you have your own power rankings, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you disagree with us, please let us know.
Yep.
We can take it. But,
yep. Remember, all this just stupid opinions and whatnot about Pokemon.
I don't think I'm that stupid, but I can be.
I mean, anyone can be.
Anyone can be. I know, because I am.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have any other comments. You got anything left to say?
Not really.
All right.
Everyone have a nice day.
All right. Well, that's all I got for today. My name's Burke. His name is Xavier. We'll see y'all next time.